All right, welcome everyone to the webinar. Welcome. We're just going to get started here in a couple of minutes. Give everyone a chance to join. And then Cy, I'm going to bring you on with me. I tried to figure out how to add you as a panelist ahead of time, but it just haven't gotten that quite dialed in yet. Okay, let's see. Oh, welcome everyone. If you can hear me, in fact, I probably need to enable the chat. Let me do that real quick. Show chat. Oh, there we go. Hey, Cy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Hello? Test? Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear.
Oh, okay.
How
about
Adam?
Yeah, I'm
Can you
here.
hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Joe.
Huh, I can't hear you guys.
Is your
here?
speaker configured correctly? Joe, I saw you trying to log into another device.
Hello.
Joe, I can hear you.
Huh. Why? I can't hear anyone. Let's see. Panelists can chat with. Okay. 777 in the chat if you can hear me. Okay, awesome. I just can't hear Cy or Adam for some reason. Don't know why. Let me try to get this figured out. Thanks everyone for your patience.
I can hear Joe, but I can't.
I see why. Testing. Man.
Joe?
Hey, there we go.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. How about Cy?
Hi, Joe. Can you hear me, Joe?
Yes, I can hear you.
Oh, finally.
Finally, sorry. Sorry about that. Glad we got it sorted. All right. Thanks everyone for your patience and welcome to tonight's webinar. Super excited to have Cy here with us. Thanks so much for being on, Cy.
Oh, sure.
So just I'm gonna go ahead and introduce you just real briefly, and I know Cy, you're gonna be introducing yourself as well. Cy's got some slides to share with us, which I personally really appreciate. It's very nice to have kind of a visual as you're going through your points and just having kind of that everything organized like that. So looking forward to that. But if you guys aren't aware of who Cyforx is, you definitely need to be in the chat more often because he's in there, he's helping, he's providing value all the time. So many people really appreciate you, Cy. I know we definitely do, and so many members have raved about you and how supportive you've been in the community and being willing to contribute, being willing to be here on this call. As far as what Cy has done as a prop farmer, he's joined. He joined BEF. It was 8 months ago or so. Is that correct, Cy?
Yeah, around 8 months now. Yeah.
Around 8 months. Okay. And since then, Cyforx has now been funded $800,000. He's earned more than $80,000 in payouts. And so far, he has never lost a funded account. And let me just add, I think Cy is Mr. Consistent. You can see almost every week he's posting in the chat, getting payouts, passing challenges. But mostly just consistently hitting his profit targets week in and week out on his funded accounts. And it's very inspiring to just see what's possible. And I know for me personally, like Cy and I, we hosted a webinar a few months ago, I want to say it was, and I was kind of explaining my post-funded approach as being more aggressive, being willing to lose funded accounts, going for bigger profits. And Cy has really opened up not only my eyes, but I think many members' eyes to another option, which is taking, slower but more steady, consistent profits and not having to, risk the funded account so much, kind of a more conservative approach, if you will. So anyways, that being said, super excited to learn from you, Cy. Really appreciate you being on here and looking forward to hearing from you.
Awesome.
All right. So, that being said, Cy, are you able to share your screen?
Okay, let me try really quick.
I might need to like give you some permissions or something. If not.
How do I do this? This one. Oh, share.
Excellent.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let me move some windows here. There we go. Can everyone see my screen?
777 in the chat if you can see. Okay, looks like we're good to go, Cy.
Okay, so good day, everyone. Cy here, also known as Cyforx. And today, actually, the last minute, I can't really decide a good title for representation. So I just came up with this, I think like 2 days or a day before, like to just name it like how to become a better EA trader.
Love it.
Okay, so I just added this slide, just to let you guys know that, the way I use Titan X is not covered by the guarantee. And also I added here like the risk of trading. And just to remind you guys that especially when you trade these kind of instruments, always only spend, just invest the amount you can afford to lose. Stuff like that, just to warn you guys that at least you're aware of what you're doing. And before we go to the content of this presentation, just a quick run through about my background. So I was a former software engineer and test lead. And unfortunately, I think early December, I got an email that they have to let me go by the end of December. So I was laid off. So at the time, I was thinking, okay, what I'm gonna do after December. So I was looking around and I discovered prop farming. And then I watched the videos on YouTube, and I joined last December 28th, almost few days before my last day on my day job. And prior to joining Blue Edge, I have around 3 to 4 years trading experience. And I got my first funded account last February. And so far, my track record, I failed 6 phase 1 challenges. And then I have 1 phase 1 retry. I think this is TFF. I have a 1 retry for TFF. I never failed a phase 2 challenge across 3 prop firms. And now that I'm reading this, I never lost a funded account. Actually, a few hours ago, if you guys know, on Discord, I posted that one of my funded account suddenly failed, and my balance is negative 99 million. So I don't know why that happened. So I sent an email to Forex Funds support, and I'm still waiting.
Wow.
I failed because my balance is negative 99 million.
So some sort of glitch or something, it sounds like.
I sent an email actually a few hours ago.
Gotcha.
And
so you didn't actually fail it. It was more of just a glitch on their end, or
it's
something weird. Okay.
I got so stressed. Yeah, because that account was due for payout next week.
Oh man.
And now it's negative 99 million. So But anyway,
It's
I
quite
hope they
fluid.
can resolve that. And yeah, and I have, yeah, as Joe mentioned earlier, I have a total of 800 active funded. So I have two FTMO, I have 4 TFF maxed out, and I have currently I have 2 for my Forex funds.
Sai, let me
Uh,
just interject here and just say, I see some people are asking questions in the chat. We'll make sure that we save some time at the end where you guys will have the chance to ask Sai any questions that you have from his presentations or anything else. So yeah, just hang tight. Go ahead and you can still put them in the chat just so you don't forget them. We'll try to go back and make sure everybody's question is covered, but we'll have time for that at the end.
Okay. Okay, so we have a very interesting topic today. So as you can see, this is the whole content of the presentation. So we'll start. The first 3 is more focused on the newcomers. I think I define newcomers are those people who are like less than a month in the group. So the first 3 items. And then number 4, this is the optimization part. I know a lot of people are looking forward about optimization. So here I will talk about the 7 Titan X settings, that in my opinion, it is really that improve a lot my Titan X trading. And then now the next one is I'm going to show you like how I trade from evaluation to funded. I think some of you already has an idea about this, because like few months ago I also talked about the post funded, But here the only difference now is I will cover also daily, because before I'm only have criteria for weekly, right? So now I have a weekly and a daily. And then number 6, I added this the last minute. Actually, in your version, Joe, you don't have this item that increase your odds of winning. I just added it the last minute because I thought it's very important, so I just added it there.
Yeah.
And then trading psychology and conclusion, and I think the most favorite of the day is the open Q&A.
Yes.
Okay, so let's go to the next item. So now, so you're a newcomer, so what you're gonna do? So, well, actually, we already have a roadmap, but sometimes I see people that keep asking, still asking question on the group chat. So I just came up with this slide so that you can just use this probably later on as your guide. This is like a roadmap of a roadmap. So although, yeah, so your job as a newcomer is obviously you have to complete your roadmap and you meet up with your coach and stuff like that. And inside the roadmap, there are several channels that I want you to focus on or spend time. First is, if you want to familiarize with the Titan X settings, you have to go to the EA inputs on Discord. And if you want to learn how to backtest, we have the strategy tester on Discord. And also, if you want to try different strategies on the leaderboard, just go to the leaderboard channel. Great. So now you learn everything, and then you're already thinking like, okay, so which strategy should you pick? So I came up with a list of questions that you can ask yourself, so that can help you decide whether you go for a weekly strategy or a daily strategy. Okay. Okay. So for weekly, just ask this question to yourself. You can. So number 1, like, do you prefer trading just once a week, or can you handle 1 EP hit only per week? And do you prefer low stress trading, or are you a patient trader? So if your answer is to at least 3 of these questions is yes, so most likely I will suggest that you pick the weekly strategy. So that's pretty much it. And on the other hand, this is for daily. So do you prefer trading every day? Can you handle multiple EP hits in a week? Actually, this week we have multiple EPs this week. So can you handle that? And then, do you prefer medium to high stress trading? I classify daily as a medium to high stress, because the more the more you expose yourself to the market, the more you're dealing with high impact news that can impact your trades. So that's why it's medium to high stress. And are you an impatient trader? And if your answer is yes to at least 3 of these questions, yeah, I think the daily strategy is for you. Okay, so yeah, so just use this as a guide, and hopefully it can help you decide, which one you should pick. And if even after this and you still can't decide which strategy, just try both, and probably in a few weeks you'll figure it out. What kind of trader are you? Okay, all right. And then now you have decided what strategy you want to use, and then now you will decide like what challenge account to trade. I think I heard I remember Joe talked about this like on one of the videos. I don't know which one, probably one of the training videos or webinars. And this is just a reminder to you guys, if you're new here, and all you have to do is, example, if you look at 100K account, let's say this is my Forex funds, it's around 500, more or less $500. You multiply it by 10, so something like this. The challenge fee times 10, so that's $5,000. Then you can ask yourself, can you afford to lose this amount? So if the answer is yes, then go ahead and take the $100,000 account size. Otherwise, probably you should consider a lower account size. So that's pretty much it. So you can use this as your guide when you decide like the account size that you want to trade. Okay.
I really like that, how you quantify that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Now we go to the I think in my opinion, the most interesting part. And this is the settings. Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe. I think Titan X currently has more than 200 settings.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
that's just an estimate. And then there's probably an infinite number of combinations almost.
So yeah, so imagine, right? So if you're new and then you open the Titan X and there's like hundreds of settings. It's like you don't know where to start, you don't know what to do. And then you look at the recommendation, you just change the entry delay. Where is that? Something like that. But here I will just focus on, based on my experience, that I think the 7 settings that hopefully can change your life for better, for well, I hope it can change your life. Okay. All right. So this is the 7 settings. And there are some settings that I group them into just one item because they're like related and they're similar. So I just put them on one item. Okay, so this is the 7. So I'm sure you've heard about this already several times on the group chat. So you have the account TP, you have the EP amount, the lot size, entry delay, and then we have here the lot size multiplier and the multiplier interval. Then we have here the pip step type, and then I specify here stacked because this is the one that I use. Actually, there are like 4 types of pip step, but today I'm just gonna be focusing on stacked because I understand how it works. So, and that's the one that I use on evaluation and funded. So yeah, and then we have here the pip step amount, and then on the number 7, you notice here that I just grouped the floating baskets and profit baskets because I assume that a majority of the people are already using the latest version of Titan X, which is around 22.3 and above. I think the current one is 22.40.
Yep.
And that Titan X only has profit baskets. But if you're still using the old one, like me, I still use 21.48. So they're pretty much the same. So floating baskets and profit baskets. Okay. So now you see this, and then maybe you're thinking, wait, I've been tweaking these settings for a long time. Why am I not getting good results? Maybe because you're doing something different, and I will show you how I do it to make it better. Okay. Great. So we'll go over each of these settings, and then there are some, suggestions. So it's easy to remember, right? Just 7. This 7 is already good enough to make your strategy improve a lot. Okay, so the first one, well, actually, example, you've been trading Titan X for a while, but you haven't done optimization yet. So now you decided, okay, let's try to do automation, but you don't know where to start, right? I suggest if you're new to optimization, you start with these four settings. You start with the account TP, EP amount, lot size amount, and then the entry delay. Okay, so let's have a scenario here. On the leaderboard, the strategies that you see on the leaderboard are for 100K account, right? And then let's say you look at the leaderboard, and then let's say you see a strategy that has a 90% passing rate, and then you have an average days of 7, and then this average hits 1, and then the recency score is 370, which is actually good. Okay, so as you can see here, the blue text, this is let's just assume this is the default value of the file. So you open the file, the set file or the ini file, and then you see these values. So if you open the set file on MT5 strategy tester, you will see the text is account TP. But if you're the type of person that you prefer to update the file directly to the ini file, the name of this account TP is actually maximum equity limit. So that is the name of the setting. Same thing with EP amount. This is the name in MT5. And this is the name in strategy tester without the space. And then for LS amount is starting lot. So if you're editing ini file, for the lot size is starting lot, and the entry delay, pretty much the same. Okay, so now you open the file, so you see 108. Usually by default, the TP account TP is 108 because 8% of 100,000, and then let's just assume the EP value is 4%, which is 4,000. Okay, and then usually the lot size we just set it to 1, and then the entry delay, example, it's 1. So now you want to come up with a custom strategy for the 4% TP or take profit. So usually what you're gonna do is you just update this field. So 4%. So you change this to 104. So just take a look at the red text, and then my suggestion is every time you lower your TP, you should lower your EP. And also if you lower your EP, you should lower your lot size. And from my experience, you don't need 4%. If you have a lower take profit, you don't need this much of EP. You can try lowering it. You can check 3,500, and then you try 3,000, stuff like that. And also at the lot size, you can start reducing your lot size and see which combination you can come up with. So
Cy, quick question that some users may be wondering is, why would I want to lower my take profit to 104,000? The target's 8% or 8,000. So why would I want to lower it?
When I came up with this idea, I asked myself, okay, so this is trading. We keep saying trading is just a game of probabilities, right? So now, how do you win a game of probability? Is to increase your chance of winning. And the only one way to do that is to lower your target. Although it's gonna take more time. I agree, it takes more time compared to just set it to the full TP, but it increases your chance. Probably it can also benefit your psychology, but also it increases your chance of, it's easier to hit the lower TP compared to a higher TP, and also it increases your odds of winning a trade. So that's why that's how I considered adjusting my TP to lower targets. Because when I did my manual trading before, I remember it's like if I just hit 2% a day, I'm already happy, you know. So
Right.
8% is actually, even for manual traders, it's really difficult for the majority to hit that. So I said like, okay, let's try just lower it to, let's say, a 4%. And then when I tried it live, and that's when I saw that my results really changed a lot.
And I feel like that's helped you have more consistency as well,
Yeah.
because you're able to hit it more often, and so you're just able to consistently hit your targets more often than if it was a bigger target. And so
Yeah.
what you do is when you lower the account TP, obviously you're going to have to run your strategy multiple times in order to get to that 8% that's required. But that's just what you do, right? So if this is a daily strategy and you hit your profit target one day, well, then you need to load it up again the next day in order to hit that profit target again, because it's not the full 8%. Or if it's a weekly strategy, it would take 2 weeks instead of 1 week, because of the lower profit target, right?
Yeah, exactly. So basically what you just did is just increase your odds of winning. So basically that's the logic behind it. And you know, as we talked about in the previous webinars, you know, different people have different risk tolerance. So yeah, the way I designed my strategies, my custom strategies, are based on my own risk tolerance. So whether you go for the full TP or you just go for lower TPs, at the end of the day, just when you make the decision, you make sure that it is supported by data. You know, it's not just you just lower your TP for the sake of just lowering your TP. You have make sure that you have the data to support that decision. Okay. So now, when you start optimizing your tweaking these settings, your goal first is to improve your pass rate and resistance score. That's it. You don't think about the average days and EP hits. You just focus on the pass rate and resistance score, just manipulating these 4 settings. So that is your first goal. And then once you already reach that level, that you think that is already like the peak of this, the peak of the optimization. Then next is you try to lower the average days and the average EP hits. And to do that, I'm sure you guys are already familiar with, you can use the new and improved the MTP optimizer. So before we have to do this most of the time we do this on MTP strategy tester. But now we have a built-in optimizer already on MTP, so you can just use the optimizer to test different values. Okay.
So Sai, quick question is, why do you aim to lower the EP hits? Do you feel like that increases your odds, or is it just for psychology, or both?
Yeah, probably. Both. Because example, if we have a 0.2 EP average hits, it means 80% of the time you hit your target, and there's only 0.20% to hit your EP.
Mm-hmm. And do you notice that on your live accounts you go beyond the average EP hits, or is it pretty similar to what you expect from the back testing?
Yeah, I mean, I experienced I think last month I have like 8 or 9 weeks consecutive.
Yeah.
Didn't hit EP.
Yeah.
So that's, you know, I know that the previous data does not reflect, you know,
right.
Yeah. So, but it gives you the probability, like how good is your strategy on different market conditions.
Yep.
Okay. So here I'm just showing you. I know there's like a separate video on how to use the optimizer. So example here, I'm just giving you an example. If you're new to optimizing, so example, if you want to test 3,500 and 4,000 EP values, so you just go to MTP optimizer, and then you put a check like this, and then you enter your start. You can enter your start here like 3,000. Then your step, this is like your increments. So step is 500 and then 4,000. So that's how you do it if you want to test these three values. Same thing with your lot size. If you want to test 0.9, 0.95, and 1. So same thing, just select it, and then you start with 0.9, increments of 0.05, and then it ends with one lot. And then here, if you want to change your delays, example, you want to test from 1 to 100. So you just select this, and then you start is 1 second, increments of 1, and then it ends with 100 seconds. So for more information about MTP optimizer, if you want to learn more, just go to the strategy tester. There's like a video dedicated on how to use this. So, but this is how you do it if you want to test different values really quick.
A couple of questions that have come up, if you don't mind. One is, what's the range that should be tested for the take profit? Is step size of 500 small enough? I think this was just an example, right?
Yeah, this is just an example. I remember someone asked me like, what is the increments or what is the step that I should use?
Yeah, how do you determine
usually I answer it like, how patient are you? Because the smaller the number, it takes longer, right? So
yeah.
So the question is, how patient are you? If you're patient, probably you should try small values. But I can give you some tips. Example for the entry delays, you don't have to do it one step. This is just an example. But usually what I do is, example, 1 to, let's say 500, and then instead of by 1, I just put by 2, because the difference between 1 second usually is not really different. So I put 1, and then my step is 2, and then my stop is 500. And then based on that, when I come up with the results, and then when I saw there's a specific value that has a better result, like a better passing rate and stuff like that, I'll just add 1, and then add or subtract by 1, and I will do the back testing again. So something like that.
Gotcha. Another quick question. Do you use MT5 first for the pass rate and recency score, and then do you use MTP for average days and average EP hits optimization?
Before MTP optimizer exists, I use MTP5 optimizer a lot. But these days, actually, I noticed that I'm using MTP optimizer now compared to MTP5. The only time that I will use the MTP5 optimizer is when I was thinking of creating a new strategy. But if I'm just optimizing an existing strategy, usually I just use MTP and the MTP optimizer.
Got it. Thank you.
Cool. All right, so we're done with the four settings. Yeah, that's it. Actually, just knowing these 4 settings, you can already raise the level of your strategy. But I know it's not enough, right? Because before we go to the next slide, I have a question to you guys. Before the next setting, I have a question to you guys. Have you ever experienced this while trading Titan X? So you use your optimized strategy, it was doing well until you encounter this scenario. So you look at the image on the left, you have buy entries like this, and then suddenly there's like a huge candle against your position. It took you out, you hit EP, and guess what happens next? It went to the right direction. Amazing, right? So, well, actually this week we have 1 or 2 or 3 like this, and I saw in the Discord chat like, oh, EP hit again. Oh, this is annoying. Another EP hit because of this huge candle that grabs the liquidity. It hits their EP and then it went to the right direction. Okay, so the next setting, not setting, but settings we're going to be talking about is the one that I use to deal with this kind of scenario, you know? So from this one, the image on the left, before optimization, and when you try to tweak these settings, hopefully you can achieve this result, you know? You can avoid these long weeks. So, and then you hit your EP. You hit your take profit. I did this a lot of times when I was looking at the visual mode. And yeah, I noticed that it can, well, I know we cannot avoid all of them, but it drastically reduces the chance of experiencing this kind of scenario. So example, this week, I avoided these long weeks. And so yeah, so now I will show you how I do it. And that setting is, the first one is the lot size multiplier. So we have the lot size multiplier, and then we have the lot size multiplier interval. So if you look at the set file on your NT5 strategy tester, so this is how it looks like. So usually it was set to 1 by default, 1 and 1. And then this is like the optimizer. If you want to view this on optimizer, this is how you see it. Anyway, so let's talk about multiplier. So usually when you, probably if you have an ini file right now, or you open your set file, probably you'll see that your lot size is usually, your multiplier is usually set to 1. And then your multiplier interval is set to 1 also. And then if you're editing the file on ini file, so the name of the setting is lot multiplier without a space. And then for the multiplier interval, this is the name in the ini file, the lot mult interval. So that's the name of the setting. So now, so let's have a scenario. So you want to double your, if you want to double your settings, your lot size every 3 entries. So this is how you do it. So you just set your multiplier to 2, and then your lot size interval to 3. So every 3 entries, your lot size will double. Okay. So basically that's it. That's how lot size multiplier works. Later on, so if right now, if you're having a hard time trying to imagine how it works, I have a visual example later on as we go along. I will show you how the lot multiplier works on line charts. Okay.
Perfect. So,
Great.
just a quick question to clarify. Yes, this is recorded for those who are asking. And yes, I agree. Sai is the meme goat. Love your little memes. So somebody asked, what will you do when you hit EP continuously? And is that what you're saying? Like, this is when you're hitting EP more often than you'd like, is this what you turn to, is optimizing the lot size multiplier and lot size multiplier interval?
This setting, actually, this is just one. There's another one that you need to add to this setting, which is the next one. but to answer your question,
just to further ask on that, or build on that question, is it when your EPs that you've hit goes beyond the average? Is that when you start to say, oh, I'm now, above the average EP hits, maybe it's time, market conditions have changed where I need to, optimize the lot size multiplier, the lot size multiplier interval, and then this next setting you're going to go over? Is that kind of how you think?
Yeah. So for example, this week we hit EP. So probably this weekend I will take a look again and retry to, if there's, do I need to re-optimize, or probably this is just an acceptable risk, just like on the acceptable level.
And how do you determine that? How do you know if it's time to re-optimize or not?
I mean, I'm not gonna say like gut feeling, but usually it's just when you look at the test and you notice that it keeps on hitting EPs over and over again, probably like 3 times, 4 times. That's like a bad signal to me that, oh, maybe it's time to re-optimize. But I run my back test every week, once or twice, just to
Yeah,
make sure that my strategy is still like on the optimal level.
gotcha. And that's because your average EP hits is usually less than one, right?
Yeah.
So when you have more than one EP hit in the same week, you know that I probably need to re-optimize because this is,
Yeah,
again,
so
above the average.
yeah, actually, the way I determine whether it's time to re-optimize or not is I created my own criteria, which is I will talk about that later,
Okay.
in
Okay.
the later
Okay.
slides.
Sorry.
But yeah,
Sorry.
so I have a criteria for weekly, and I have a criteria for daily.
Okay.
And then once the stats of my strategy already did not meet the requirements of my criteria, and then that's like, oh, it's time to re-optimize.
Got it.
Okay, so this is the lot size multiplier interval. So don't worry if at this point you still don't understand how it works. As I said earlier, I created a visual example so that it's clearer, how this setting works on the charts. Okay, so other than the lot size multiplier and multiplier interval, there's another setting that you need to work on. It's the pip step. So here I emphasize the pip step that I use a lot of times is stacked, because probably if you go to the EA settings, stack is where you can have entries above and below your initial entry. So that's why I just use this. So this is the setting that I prefer. And then the pip step amount. Okay, so this is the name of the setting, pip step type. If you're editing the ini file, if you prefer to edit, so the name is the same thing but without a space. And the PS amount is actually pip step without a space on the ini file. Okay, and then if you're editing on the ini file, the stacked type is actually number 3. So if you open the ini file and you see the pip step type is 3, so that means it's stacked version. And that's it. So for example, on your ini file, by default, the setting was set to 5 pips. So pip step is the distance between your entries. So example, your first entry and your second entry is 5 pips. Okay. And now, for example, you want to increase the distance. So here, if you want to increase the distance between entries from 5 pips to 10 pips, so all you have to do is just change the amount. So here, as you can see here, just change this 5 to 10. Okay. So it will increase the distance between your entries. And I have here my recommendation, my personal recommendation, that whenever you increase your pip step value, you should increase your lot size. And then if you decrease your pip step amount, you have to decrease your lot size. And why? Because the more you increase your pip step, it reduces the number of entries. And if there's only less number of entries, so you have to compensate it with your lot size. You have to increase your lot size. That's why you notice when you look at some of the strategies, the pip step is 2, the pip step is 3, and then their lot size is around 2 point something. This is for a 100K account. Yeah, because the more you increase your I'm sorry. Probably there's like a huge pip step. Probably, you'll notice like they're using bigger lot sizes because if you don't increase that, it will take more time to hit your TP, especially if your TP is way too high. Example, like at 8%. The same thing, if you decrease your pip step amount, it means you're increasing the number of entries. And 2 things can happen if you have a lot of entries. It's either if it goes the right direction, you will hit TP really quick, or you will hit your EP really quick. Mm-hmm. So you have to balance like between your pip step and your lot size. Okay.
So Sai, John from the chat is wondering, why do we need to do optimization if we can copy the strategy from the leaderboard? Can't we just change the name of the strategy and entry delay?
I mean, you can do that, but of course, if you want to bring your strategy to the next level, you have to learn how to tweak other settings.
And
Because-
Sai, oh, sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, that's the reason that we optimize, because probably we've talked about this on several webinars, that we have to keep adapting to the market condition. So the market condition this week. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. Sorry. I just had to turn my video off for a second.
I'm sorry. I thought I got disconnected.
No, you're
Okay.
good.
Yeah. So yeah, the market condition keeps changing. So we have to make sure that our strategy also adapts. But I mean, you can do that. If you're new and you don't want to deal with this, I mean, that's the recommendation of the group, is you just change the entry delay first. You can start there.
Well, inside, can I just add on to what you're saying? For me, I'm simply following like the guarantee, right? Like, so I'm consistently taking challenges, and then and my funded rate for those challenges is around 50%. And this is something, I've been tracking this. My phase 1 pass rate is about 65%, give or take. Recently it's been a little bit higher. And then my funded rate ends up being 50%. So that means my phase 2 is somewhere around 75%. And so I'm getting, for every new challenge I start, I'm getting funded 50% of the time. And then on my funded accounts, I go for that 8% target. And I know I have about a 65%, give or take, right, chance of hitting that 8% target. And so I'm constantly, cycling through funded accounts, right? And if you go to that post-funded channel inside Discord, you can see, for me, that has given me an ROI of around 300%. For every $1 I put into challenges, just following that system, I'm able to pull $3 out, after all is said and done, right? I think what you're doing, Sai, and what some of the extraordinarily successful members in the group are doing is they're taking extra time to make their strategies extra good and increase those odds even more, right? And so I think that's the point of what you're sharing, is that if you want even better results than what just following the plan is, and you want to optimize your strategies, make them even better, then you can follow what Sai's saying and get even better results, more consistent results, higher probabilities, etc. Would you agree with that, Sai?
Yeah. That is exactly correct.
Okay.
Okay, good. Okay, so now we go to the okay. This is just an example, like if you want to view the pip step using the MTP optimizer. So this is the setting. Okay. All right. Now, we've learned about multiplier and pip step. So now let me show you like how it works on the charts. Okay. So I hope you can see the text clearly.
Yep.
Okay, so for example, yes, go ahead, Joe.
Oh, I just said, yep, I can see it clearly.
Okay, so example, so you have a strategy, and your strategy has a lot size of 1, so 1 lot per position, and then you have a multiplier of 2, and then you have a lot size multiplier interval by 3, and then pip step type is stacked, and then the pip step amount is 5 pips. So you have this setting. Now your Titan X places the first trade here. As you can see here, this is the first trade, entry number 1, and the lot size is 1. Okay, and then the price keeps moving up after 5 pips, Titan X place another entry. Entry number 2, the lot size is still 1. Okay. And sometimes it went against you. So it went down another 5 pips below. Entry number 3, the lot size is still 1. And then it keeps going down. And then after 5 pips, another entry number 4. But instead of 1, now it becomes 2. Why? Because of the lot multiplier interval. So, and your multiplier. So your first, second, and third entries are 1 lot. And your fourth entry now becomes 2 lots because of the multipliers. And the distance between this entry, this entry, this entry are 5. This is your pip step amount. Although if you trade this on live market, sometimes the distance is not equal. There are several factors. One is the volatility. Sometimes during that time, the chart moves really fast before Titan X places a trade, or the spreads. Sometimes, example, I noticed my Forex fund, the spreads are crazy. So if you place a trade, it doesn't enter on that part. It's like several pips above your entry. So yeah, but this is how it works. And this is how you handle your example. If you want to review your EP day and you want to turn it into a winning day, so this you have to look at the, you can use a visual mode and try to look at the entries. And then you will notice like, oh, I have too much entries. Probably that's why I hit my EP really early, or your pips, your pip step probably is too small, or probably your lot size is too big. That's why you hit EP quickly. So yeah, so this is how you play around with the multiplier and pip steps, and to handle that scenario where there's like a huge candle that takes you out, and then it goes to the right direction. Okay, so I hope this illustration is help you understand how these two settings work side by side on the charts. And if you're still having a hard time, don't worry, we'll have a replay. You can keep watching this over and over again. Okay.
So somebody said, "Ooh, I get it now."
Oh, I mean, great. Yeah, before I made this illustration, actually, I was thinking like, what if I'm a newbie? So how do I understand this setting? So, and then I realized, how about we come up with a chart and just try to plot these entries, because it's easier to understand if you see it visually on the charts.
Definitely.
Okay, so example, if you change your multiplier interval to 2 instead of 3, so what will happen is your 1 and 2 entries are 1, and then your third entries will become 2, and also your fourth entries become 2, and actually your fifth entry will become 4 because of the multiplier. So basically, yeah, that's it. Okay, so now we're done with the multiplier and the pip step settings. And before we go to the next settings, I have another question to you guys. Have you ever experienced this situation? Late at night, you look at the charts, you have open trades, and you're up 7%. Say, okay, you're up 7%. You have 1% to go to hit ETP. Probably it's time to sleep. So you went to sleep that night, and the next day, what happens? Your equity dropped to $96,000. So your profit, you're up 7%, and now you're -4. So if you experience this, well, yeah, I know how it's frustrating it is, right? You lose all your profits. So the next setting that we're going to be talking about is will help you avoid experiencing this scenario and to help you secure more profits. And probably you guys will know by now what setting it is, and the setting is this one. So this is the setting that we use to handle that kind of scenario, to avoid, losing all your profits in one go. So here, as you notice here, I use floating baskets / profit baskets because I'm just assuming that there are still people who are using the older version and also the new version. But here I'm just gonna call it profit baskets because I think majority is already using the new version of Titan X. So here, so profit baskets, actually there are 3 types, but I only use 2 of them. The first type of profit baskets that I use is account dollar, and there's another setting which is account percent. So how you use this is if you use the account dollar, you set it by the actual amount. So here, example, the account dollar, you set it to 10,000. Your goal, your start is 5,000, and then your stop is 2,000. And then if you prefer to use percentage, the equivalent is something like this. So you set 10, 5, and 2. So pretty straightforward, right? So now I want you to see the difference here. So here if you open your set file on the strategy tester, you will see that the text is PB type, PB goal, PB start, PB stop. But if you open it, the ini file inside the optimizer, you will see this: FB type, FB goal, FB start, FB stop. So don't be confused about these settings because they're the same. Okay. Now, so maybe you're thinking, okay, so how does it work? Although we have EA settings that I think, in my opinion, already explained it really well, but I came up with, again, with an illustration, which is this one. Okay. So for example, your strategy has a PB goal that is set to $10,000, and your start is 5,000, and your stop is 2,000. So let's take a look first on this one on the left. So example, the top, this is your goal, which is 10,000. Okay, and then your PB start is 5,000. Then actually the actual value of your PB stop is the difference between this one. Initially the value of your PB stop is the start minus the value you set here. So that's actually the distance between your this one to this one. So your actual value is actually $3,000. So for example, you have you set your Titan X to this, and now you use it live, right? So on the live markets, example, your profit goes up and up until it hits $5,000. So once you hit $5,000, the profit basket will trigger and will lock the profit. And if for some reason the trade went against you, obviously if it goes against you, your profit goes down. What will happen is the lowest profit that you can get is 3,000. So your stop is actually, this is like your invisible, the way it was described in the document is it's like your invisible stop loss, trailing stop loss. Okay. So instead of losing everything, when the trade went against you, you have an invisible stop loss like this. So if it turns around, the lowest profit that you can get is 3,000. Okay, that's the first scenario. Now let's have a second scenario. So what if you have a profit, it hits 5,000, it triggers the start, and then the profit keeps going up and up until, let's say you're already at 8,000 profit, which is great, right? So let's say currently this is your current profit. So what will happen is your stop will keep on following your profits. So since your PB stop is set to 2,000, so your PB stop is, the value is the PB stop right now is around $6,000. So if for some reason the trade went against you again, so the lowest profit that you can get is 6,000. So yeah, so that's pretty much it. That's how the profit baskets or the floating baskets works. So you have, so what it does is secure profits for you. And in the event that it turns against your trade, you can still secure some profits. Okay. And yeah, that's it for the profit baskets.
So just to clarify, this is a trailing stop loss for profit baskets. And yeah. So just for those, and by the way, side, there's quite a few members saying this is very helpful, super clear. You know, people saying things like or you know, just having epiphanies. So this is great.
Oh, awesome. I'm glad you guys are learning. It took me time to understand it, actually, personally, but now that I understood it, I think for there are some. I'm sure there's some people that they can learn faster if they can see it visually. So that's why I spent time creating this visual so that it's easy to understand.
Yeah, really appreciate that, Sai. Also, somebody asked, Tracy asked, what happens when you have PB start and PB stop set to equal values, set to the same amount?
Oh, so if your start, example, if your start is, let's say, 5,000 and then your stop is also 5,000, is that what?
Yes.
So what will happen is your stop is at the initial balance. So if you, example, your initial balance is 100K, right? And then if you hit this, it will start trailing, but the lowest profit you can get is the break even.
Yep, exactly.
The same thing, but yeah, so just remember that your stop value that you set here is like the distance between the initial value is the distance from the start minus the stop. So if your start is 5,000, and then your stop is 5,000, then you subtract this by 5,000, then zero profit.
Somebody asked, PB goal of 10,000, isn't it the same as account TP at 10,000? And if your PB goal is greater than your account TP, or vice versa, your PB goal is less than your account TP, all trades will close based off of whichever one hits first, because both of those features trigger all trades to close. So if you hit your PB goal first, then all trades will close. If you hit your account TP, all trades will close. So it doesn't, and if they're the same amount, then all trades will close either way.
Yeah, that is correct. So you have to, for the profit basket to trigger, it has to reach the start value. So if you don't reach it, example 4,999, and then it turned around, of course it didn't, unfortunately you didn't hit the start, the value, your PB start.
Another question, and these are really good questions. It's showing that everyone's thinking about this and the gears are turning and starting to click. So Steve asked, what if your stop is higher than your start? And I can answer this one.
Actually, I haven't tried that, but okay,
yeah, I was going to say, maybe you haven't tried that. Basically your trade will close right away. That's what will happen. It's kind of like an error. Like you wouldn't intentionally ever do that because it just defeats the purpose of the profit basket trailing stop is what this is, right? If you're trailing beyond the profits that you already have. But yeah, basically it'll just, as soon as you hit your PB start, all trades will close because you'll have already hit your PB stop. If that makes any sense. Hopefully that doesn't anymore, but you shouldn't do that. PB start should always be greater than PB stop.
I mean, why would you set your stop above your start? I mean,
right.
It's like setting your stop loss above your entry,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a good way of putting it, Sai.
So it's like having a start without a stop.
So Jesse asked, what do you recommend that we set our PB stop to?
This one depends on your strategy. That's why you have to optimize and then figure out like the balance between the stops that you're gonna use.
Yeah, there's not a right answer, right? I mean, it depends on your strategy. It depends on.
Depends on your strategy, depends on your TP. Example, your TP is low, like let's say your TP is just 4%. I mean,
Yeah.
then
And
you have to
even-
also adjust your profit baskets.
Right. And even you are adjusting, these values as market conditions change. So
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
there's
exactly.
not one right answer that's going to last forever, or there's no magic value.
And then this is just a tip. You have to make when you set your stop, you don't make it like too close to your start or too wide. Just find like the right value, the right balance, so that it's not too close and or not too wide. And by the way, this one on the right side, well, as I said earlier, the stop is trailing your profit. So here, your profit is already at 8,000. So this stop, it keeps following your profits.
Quick question, Sai. Christy asked if, and I'm just going to kind of summarize Christy's question here. Can you use this kind of optimization to bring back accounts that are close to failing? Maybe they've gone through a series of equity protector hits. Do you ever try to save the account by re-optimizing? Given your, for example, if you only have $2,000 to work with on $1,000 account, so your balances come all the way down to 92,000. Do you ever optimize for only having, $2,000 equity protector and account stop loss, and see, what strategy you can optimize for bringing it back with the highest probability?
Yeah. And actually, yeah, I saw a lot of people are doing it already in the group. That is example, if let's say this is 100K account, right? So, and now you have $2,000 to work with. And usually what we do is to use the setting of a lower account size, let's say a 50K account size, or let's say a 25, and then you have to adjust it so that it can fit to the $2,000 that you have.
Right.
So yeah, that's basically it. So create a conservative strategy that is enough for the remaining balance that you have by using the lower account size settings. That's one way you can do it. I mean, the easiest way.
Right. Because that's automatically going to make your strategy more conservative by using this is kind of a more extreme example, but by using a $10,000 account size settings on $100,000 account, everything's going to be scaled down by 10. And so it's going to be 10 times more conservative versus just continuing to use the same strategy.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So are we good with profit baskets?
I think so.
All right. Now we proceed to the next slide. So these are the 7 other settings that you can explore. I mean, we can have a discussion about this, but we have limited time. So just explore these settings. This is the settings that I also tweak from time to time, not all the time. But if you want to increase the uniqueness of your strategy, or you want to increase the win rate of your strategy, this is the settings that you can take a look. So there's also the PS multiplier, almost similar to lot size multiplier, but this one you multiply the pip step instead of the lot size. Okay. And then of course, these 2 to 4, these are your indicators that is included in the Titan X. You can play around it. And then we have the candlestick filter. I sometimes use this. And then probably you especially on daily strategies, you see trading sessions, because there are some strategies that perform well on a specific session, like London session or Asian session or New York session. So you can just filter out which session you want to trade. And then, yeah, I just added this one. It's either you can use weekly go, probably this is for weekly strategies. And some people, I saw people, some people use daily go, which is you can use it on your daily strategy. So yeah, so to learn more about these settings, just go to EA Inputs channel on Discord. Okay. Okay. Now we go to the next topic, which is how I trade from evaluation to funded. So, so here I came up with two criterias, one for weeklies and then one for dailies. Okay. And here, probably you've seen this chart before, although it's in a different format, but probably the difference that you will see here is now on phase one, I have a 2%. But anyway, okay, before I talk about that, so as you can see here, these texts, I based it on the report generated by MTP. You remember, right? So every time you run your back test, you have your MTP result, and then when you open that MTP result, it opens the results of your back test, and then you have the result on each week or a result on each day if you're back testing a daily strategy, and then you have a summary on like a summary, the stats of your back test, and this is basically the text here. The criteria here was based on the stats that was generated by the MTP report. So basically, this criteria that I set is example, if my strategy, if I backtest my strategy and the numbers that shows up on the MTP report hits these values, so that will tell me that weekly strategy, I will use that weekly strategy on my live trading. So something like that. So for example, phase one. So here I added here a 2%. So why do I have a 2% now on phase one? Probably you already know a few weeks ago, different prop firms already added the unlimited trading, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have unlimited trading, so you have all the time in the world to complete your evaluation. So now when they remove the unlimited the time constraints on the evaluation, so I thought, so why not use your post-funded strategy on my evaluation? Because my post-funded strategy is very consistent, so why not use it on the evaluation? So that's why I have a 2% here. So if your criteria do you want to use, if you're the take profit, I mean, if the take profit that you want to use is 2%, so the criteria for 2% TP strategy, this is for weekly, right? So the 52 pass rate should be 98% and above. The 12-week pass rate should be 100%. The max EP value is 3.5. So if you have 100K, that's 3,500 maximum. Or you can go lower if you want. That's fine. Then the average days for 52 weeks, 3.6 days, less or less. And then the 52-week average EP hits is 0.2 or less. Same thing for 4%, just follow this line. So 4%, this is 96% and above, 12-week pass rate, 2.5, here 4.0, average days, and then the average EP hits is 0.3 and below. And this is for the 5%.
Just to clarify real quick, because this question came up in the chat, the max
go ahead.
value is the only one on this list that is actually not a stat from the MTP. So max EP value, that's one of that's basically the max EP amount value that you input in the input settings. So on a 100K account, that would be $3,500. And so 4,000, that would be beyond the max. So Cy doesn't do anything above 3.5% of the account for the EP amount.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thank you for that, Joe. Yes, the max EP value, this is not included in the MTP report. This is a setting that I set for EP in the strategy. Mm-hmm. Okay, and then for phase two, same thing, but here I just use 2.5. I think 2.5 is still fine. And this is the criteria. And then for funded, this is the criteria. This is, by the way, this is for weeklies, and we will have a separate one for dailies.
So the profit target is by week, right?
Yeah,
Okay. So targeting 2% per week or 4% or 5%.
yes, exactly.
It hits and then you wait to resume trading till the following week.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Now we're done with weeklies. The dailies is pretty straightforward. The dailies, whether it's evaluation or funded, I use the same thing. So now profit target is 2.1, pass rate, 12-week pass rate is 100%. The max EP instead of 2.5, like weeklies, I use 3% here or below. The average days is 0.8 equal to 0.8 and below, and then the average EP hits is below 0.4. And as you can see here, on the right side, the image, these are a report generated by MTP. There's like a summary. And this is an example of a strategy that passed this criteria. So when I see these results on my backtest, then I will set aside the strategy and I will use it live.
And then of course,
So,
if you happen to have a week where there's more EP hits or what have you, then, and it goes beyond this criteria, then you'll re-optimize to get it back within the criteria, right?
yeah, exactly.
Can you actually go back to the previous slide real quick? So somebody asked, is this 2% profit target? Is this of the initial balance or 2% of the new balance the following week?
Actually, both. Because example, if this week you earn 2%, so let's say you're already at 102, right? So a week after that, your starting balance is already 102. So you have to adjust your TP to 104.
Mhm.
So you're just grabbing 2% every week.
2% of that initial balance, basically, every week.
Yeah. And then in the event that you hit your EP and you're down, that's where your profit baskets will handle when you're down with your if you're in drawdown.
Right.
If it's your EP and let's say you're down to 2,500, and then you just leave the setting as it is, your profit baskets will take care of it.
Yep. Do you ever resume on Tuesday or always only start on Mondays?
Weekly is the same thing for all weekly strategies. Is not. I just set it on a weekend before the weekly open, and that's it. So whether it takes trades on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, I just set it on a weekend.
And then if it hits on Monday, the first day of the week, for example, you would never resume on Tuesday. You would just be patient and wait till the following week, correct?
Yeah. So if you Monday already hit your TP, that's it. You're done. That's why weekly strategies are less stressful. Because you don't have to think about, is there news today? Is there a high impact news again? You don't have to think those, because weekly is just one time and that's it.
So speaking of that, since you brought it up, do you avoid high impact news when trading your strategies?
For weekly, not really.
For daily?
Because for daily, actually, I don't avoid it.
Okay,
but
you don't really avoid it for weekly or dailies. You just trade.
But there are instances that when I look, so basically, example for daily, there are instances that there's like based on my backtest data, that there's like a high probability that when this news shows up, it will hit EP, then I just avoid it. So the bottom line is just follow your test data. And later I will talk about that, like how to improve your strategy even further.
Awesome. Okay, I think that answers everything. Thank you.
Okay, so for the next item, this is just an example. So sometimes, we're just doing our back tests and then we see the results. Sometimes we just look at this report, right? Like the summary. but we don't look at the details. So if you want to increase the odds of winning of your strategy, you have to look at the data itself. And here, this is just an example. Here I notice that every Monday and Tuesday, I have a high chance of hitting my TP. So I just put a box here, as you can see, Monday and Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday, Monday and Tuesday. So here I just hit TP. I mean, that's fine. I mean, you can't win everything. And then a week after that, Monday and Tuesday. So you see, I saw that my strategy wins a lot on Monday and Tuesday. So based on this analysis, you can conclude that probably I just trade Monday and Tuesday and that's it. You know, this is assuming that you have a daily strategy, because daily strategy, you expose yourself more on the markets, right? But if you notice, like, oh, when these are the days where my strategy is really performs well, then you just trade those days. And another approach that you can do, and I think some members are already doing this, is if there's like a specific news that your strategy is always hitting EP, like NFP or FOMC or CPI. If you notice in your data that it always hits EP, then probably you can avoid it. And that's in that way, I mean, why suffer another EP if you can avoid it, right? And that's one way you can improve your win rate even better.
Yep. And somebody asked, how would you know if news would hit your EP or not? In fact, if you go to the leaderboard and open up the results file, it will highlight the weeks where there's FOMC or NFP news. And you can just see if there's any correlation with, higher EP hits or failed results on those dates compared to not. And if if you notice that it does tend to fail or hit EP more often on those dates, then you might want to avoid those. So, like, for example, here I can see that NFP, no, FOMC, no, CPI did have one. So I wonder if the next CPI has one too. No, it doesn't. NFP had 2 EP hits there. I mean, so just kind of looking at this, I don't know what the average EP hits are for this strategy, but it does look like a lot of times with news, it does hit EP.
Yeah, I think this is the current number one.
Okay.
And yeah, just open it. Yeah. But there's a lot of EPs.
Yeah, there's just a lot of EPs in general, but starting on a news day, it looks to be like about the average. I would maybe just like calculate the average for news days and see if it's bringing the average up or down. So if you calculate the average for all the news days and it's the average EP hits for all the news days is like, I don't know, 3 instead of closer to the 1.42 that you see there in the upper left, then I would probably avoid news days. But if it's like the same as the average or even less, then I wouldn't. And that's just me kind of, yeah. Would you agree with that, Cy?
Yeah, that is actually correct.
Yeah.
So that is optional, but if your goal is to increase your odds of winning, so probably we can increase your win rate by just analyzing your data and see the patterns where your strategy performs well and where your strategy didn't perform well.
Right. And so that's the same concept with this. This is kind of a fun example though, because your strategy is winning every day. I mean, it looks like on this example, at least, I mean, you probably want to just trade it any day. It doesn't seem like Monday or Tuesday have any particular advantage over other days. I mean, if anything, you have that Tuesday with 3 EP hits. But I think what, basically all you're saying is just look at EP hits compared to the start date. And if you notice certain days have more EP hits than others, then avoid those days. And if you notice that certain days have less EP hits than others, then trade those days if you want to increase the odds of winning even further, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is optional, But yeah, if you want to level up as an EA trader, this is one way you can, if you want to perform if you want your strategy to perform even better, this is one way to do it. You just look for patterns. Sometimes you can see patterns like on the first week and second week, it performs well. On the third week and fourth week, probably it's already struggling, especially on the end of the month. You always hit EP at the end of the month, so probably avoid end of the month. You can do that.
Size, somebody asked, just because there's probably others wondering, why is your first week showing 104,000 ending balance, where the other ones don't?
The only thing I can think of is probably there's like a huge
Or something.
yeah, there's like a huge volatility on that day that it exceeds my TP.
Yeah, I mean, you can always, I would just say in general, if you ever see something weird like that, just go run the strategy on visual mode and just see what happened, and you'll find your answer.
Yeah, exactly. That is actually
Was
correct.
it slippage? Was it a gap in the market? Was it some huge volatility? Just go back and watch. There's just a huge move on that day. Exactly. Just go back and watch it on visual mode. It'll tell you.
Yeah.
How do we figure out the exact day or days that has hit EP? So right there on the report, Sai, maybe you can point to it. You can.
Yeah. Example, this one, Wednesday, you hit EP.
Yep, exactly.
Then Thursday, you hit EP. But yeah, I mean, this is not a good example because obviously this strategy has a very low EP hit. That's why. And this is just 2% TP, take profit. Obviously, you will expect 0 EPs here because this strategy has the one that you see on the previous slide, I think. Oh, this one. I mean, the average EP is really low. It's like 0.37. I'm not sure if this is the same strategy, but yeah. So if your average EP hits is really low, so expect that you have multiple days of 0 EP.
How do you get your EP hit so low? Well, just looking here, I can see that you're targeting only
2%.
And so by just like going back to that original question, by lowering your account TP, you're increasing your odds of hitting it and not hitting EP, I guess, as well.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Now, okay, we go to the next topic. This is really quick. So as they say, trading psychology is really, really important because you know that why most traders fail, like 95% of the traders lose money is emotion. But lucky for us, we have Titan X. Titan X will handle all that kind of stuff, and you don't have to think about it too much. And so here I just enumerated here like the most common reasons why traders fail. And number one is not having a trading discipline. Conquering emotion is achieved by trading within a well-constructed trading plan that assists in maintaining trading discipline. So to have a trading discipline is to address this, you need to have a trading plan. And the second one is obviously the trading without a plan. And as they say, if you fail to plan, you are planning to fail. And then number 3 is you fail to adapt to the market. So the most successful traders actually adapt to the market changes by modifying their strategies to conform to the current market condition. That's why we keep optimizing our strategy so that we can adapt to the market condition. And then number 4 is learning through trial and error. Example, if you want to do it on your own, and of course you can learn it, but it's gonna cost you a lot. Probably the most expensive way to learn to trade the markets is through trial and error. But good good for us. We have the community, we have the coaches, and we have all these resources so that you don't have to do a lot of trial and errors to your trading. And then, of course, number 5 is having unrealistic expectations. As they say, like any other endeavor, this is trading is also a marathon. This is not it's not a sprint. It's not a get rich quick scheme. Yeah. And number 6, so the poor risk and money management. So in my opinion, as the trading account becomes larger, from 100K, now you have 1 million, you have 2 million. I think capital preservation becomes really, really important. I mean, you can lose a small account, but if you're handling a bigger account, that's the time that you have to consider capital preservation. Okay, so that's it. And this is just want to share some of my favorite, quotes that, whether you win a trade or you lose a trade, it's a step to the right direction. And the more you backtest, you thought like, oh, this is not doing well. I've been doing this for a long time. Why am I still failing? It's a step. So these are steps to the right direction. And eventually, when you already achieve your goal, when you look back, all those things that you did are just steps that led you to your goal. And also, I want to share this. This is a quote from the great Muhammad Ali, and this is he's talking about the importance of preparation. So don't go live by being unprepared. So imagine, right? There's like Olympic track and field. They have to warm up for 30 minutes just to compete for just 10 seconds. So here when you're doing prop farming, trading Titan-X, you don't have to rush everything. Take your time, undergo the roadmap, watch the videos, and I mean, if you have questions, you have your coaches, you have the group chat. I mean, take your time until you think you're ready. You have the strategy that you backtested. You have a good data, and that's the time you go live. And yeah, so that concludes the psychology part. So if you wanna learn more, if you want to read more about psychology, we have a good channel there on Discord. Just go to the psychology channel. Okay. Oh, finally, and now that concludes my presentation. So I just want to tell you that what you learned today is just one of the many things that you can do with Titan-X that works. Actually, probably you see on Discord there are a lot of people that are doing well, that they have their own way of doing things, but it's working, right? It's working for them. So at the end of the day, your data, I mean, when you go for a specific approach, make sure that you have all the information, all the data that to support that decision. Okay, so I think that's it. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you guys for listening. So I hope you learn from this, and probably right now you have a strategy. You can try those settings that I mentioned, and who knows, maybe you can improve your strategy even more. So yeah, I think that's it from me, Joe.
Awesome, Sai. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Super helpful. You can see all the chats coming in, lots of thank yous, lots of amazing, excellent presentation, always full of good information to share. Great quotes. Thank you. So grateful. Thank you. Incredible. Thank you. So I know we went over time, but Sai, I thought that was
Oh,
just,
it's overtime already.
yeah, but it's okay. As long as you don't mind, of course.
Yeah,
I think
it's fine.
it's all very insightful, very helpful. As you can see, the feedback coming in, very appreciative.
Oh, by the
So,
way, Joe,
yeah,
sorry.
go ahead.
Is it okay if I post my presentation after
Yes,
this webinar? I'll post it in the group chat.
yes,
Is that okay?
absolutely. And we'll add it to the gold nuggets as well for reference.
Okay. So guys, yeah, after this webinar, I will post my slides in the group chat.
Yep. And the recording will be posted as well, as soon as it's available. All right. Well, any last questions? I know we answered a lot as we were going through. Any other burning questions that we missed? Okay. So I'm gonna butcher that name, so I'm not even gonna try. 21.48 version has bugs. What do you do to avoid those bugs, Sai?
What one of the bugs that I know of 21.48 is after hitting EP, especially for weekly, after hitting EP, it will take another trade. I mean, it's supposed to take a trade on a week after, but for some reason, the Titan X takes another trade after hitting EP, and that's not supposed to happen. So what I do if I hit EP or TP, actually for TP, it automatically removes the Titan X, but there are actually instances that it does not remove Titan X. I experienced it twice already. So what I do is I remove Titan X from the chart manually. I have to remove it. I have to make sure that it does not show up on the charts.
Yeah. What settings help you get strategies with minimal drawdown? I think you covered that pretty well, Sai, when you were going over the specific settings on some of those earlier slides. So I would say, maybe unless you want to add anything to that, Sai, I would just say, make sure you go back and watch the recording.
So yeah, the most common reasons why we hit EP is usually probably your lot size is too big, or example earlier we talked about probably your multiplier. There's something wrong with your multiplier, or probably your pip step is way too close. Oh, here, this is a good illustration. So you can go back and you can use visual mode and look at your trades. Example, just pick a day. Example, last Tuesday, let's say you hit EP, you go back to that day, you open your strategy tester, and then you enable visual mode and then look at the trades. And then you can already notice that if you see the trades, then where did it go wrong? What is the cause of why it hit an EP?
Yep. Another question for you, Sai, is do you use the same custom strategy on all of your accounts? Or if not, how many custom files do you have that you run? Like one for each account, or?
If you're confident that you have you're the only one you have that settings, then I just use the same thing across all of my accounts, except for True Forex funds. I have a weekly, I have a strategy that runs weekly, and I have a strategy that runs daily.
Okay. And you don't find that you have to optimize differently on, like, for my Forex funds and then have another strategy for FTMO, another strategy, like, since they all use a little bit different price data, your one strategy works on all the prop firms, like as far as the results and the back testing go?
No, the strategy that I use for FTMO, TFF, and my Forex funds they're totally different.
Okay.
They're not even close.
Gotcha. But you use the same strategy for all the accounts on the same prop firm?
On the same prop firm, yes.
Got it. How far back do you go to backtest 62 reports, question mark?
For weekly, just the default. Same thing with daily, just the default. When you
Yeah,
oh, where is that? I don't know. Oh, not this one.
yeah.
Oh,
No.
there you go. Yeah, just use the defaults. So if I backtest daily, just daily defaults. If I backtest weekly, just weekly defaults.
Yep. Are your strategies mostly with trend or counter trend?
Actually, I haven't checked, but I think the last time I remember it's all counter trend.
Yeah. Does 22.4 have that bug? No, it does not. I see a lot of counter trend strategies. Are there any trend, or what are the parameters needed to get a strategy to go with the trend? This is what I would say, because I think a lot of times it gets like oversimplified, or like compartmentalized, if you could say that. Like, okay, this strategy is either trending or it's ranging. You know, it's for a ranging market or a trending market. But the reality is there's a lot of degrees of trending and, you know, degrees of ranging. And so, you know, really, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. And not to mention that trending and ranging is subjective anyways. Like, I might say one market's ranging from one perspective, and you might say it's trending. So most important is just the data, in my opinion. You know, if whatever that market is gives you good data, good pass rate, low EP hits, you know, etc., like Sai talked about, then it doesn't really matter what the phase is. And I wouldn't worry about trying to predict what the phase is currently and what it's going to be and trying to match it up. Like, once you get into trying to predict the market, that's where you know, nobody can predict the market. You know, it's just, that's where you get into trouble. Okay. When you do your optimization, do you keep, so aside, when you do your optimization, do you keep account stop loss enabled?
Yes.
Have you ever tried a strategy with no account TP, but with a PB set?
I'm working on one right now, but I haven't used it live yet.
Why would you want to do that? Just to see how far it can grow, or like, why would you not account TP?
Yeah, I mean, there are instances that it goes beyond, right? So one way you can secure your profits is just you can turn off your TP and just use profit baskets.
Got it. Makes sense. Pierre asked, can you explain how the pip step stacked works? He gave some really good examples earlier, so I would say go back and watch the recording. When you re-optimize your strategies, what settings do you start with to re-optimize?
Depends on what kind of scenario that I want to address. So example, if I want to address this kind of scenario, as you can see here. So yeah, most likely I will take a look at my multipliers, pip step. And of course, my lot size. Probably I need to adjust my lot size.
Yeah. How do you diversify your strategies to work on a few accounts, since most leaderboard strategies are derivatives of each other? If you see a straight buy or sell on a few of your accounts at one go, do you intervene to mitigate risk? I don't know if that made sense, Sai, but just based on what you said, I would say no. Um, okay, while adjusting the lot size multiplier, how do you avoid curve fitting?
Avoid what? I'm sorry.
It's called curve fitting. I don't, it's basically where your your how do you explain it? It's like your data is only works on the time frame that you've optimized for. Anything outside of that will show much worse results. So it's basically like your data is fit to the date range that you tested on. And when you go out of sample data or out of sample date range, then you get much worse data. So that'd be like a curve fit. Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, we have to test what is closest to the current market condition. So I think, at least for daily, I think the last 3 months is enough.
Yeah. I don't worry about curve fitting personally. Like, in fact, I want to be very fine tuned to that, last 3 months or whatever it is, as much as possible, and just continue to re-optimize, like you said.
But yeah, so if you want to increase the lifespan of your strategy, maybe you can try longer duration, time frame. I mean,
yeah.
But the thing is, the way that I can keep up with the current market condition is I backtest every week, and of course every week the date range changes, right? So I'm only concerned of the current market condition instead of just going over the whole, like, 1 year, 2 years. I mean, at least for daily, that's how I do it.
Right.
Just 3 months is enough.
Do you run all your funded accounts at the same time?
Yes, but they're not the same because the profit split schedule is different. So I run them if they're available, but if it's a profit split week, I don't trade them.
Yeah.
Or there are also instances that, okay, I'm happy with the profit. Example, for my Cyforx funds, I'm already 8.5% in profit, so I don't need to trade anymore. I just wait for profit split.
You're using larger lot sizes, are you more likely to hit EP? Not necessarily, right?
What was that? I'm sorry.
The question was, if you are using larger lot sizes, are you more likely to hit EP?
Yeah, of course.
I just said not necessarily, because I mean, maybe you offset that with a wider pip step, like you said.
Yeah. But also, there are advantages and disadvantages with larger lot sizes. It's either you can hit your TP really quick or your EP really quick.
Right.
And probably you will experience this. There's like a long candle against your trade and it hits your EP. That it only takes one huge candle and it will take you out.
Yep. Hector asked, is optimizing less than 3 months okay? I would say it is. I would say yes, but you're just going to have less data points, right? So the more data points you have, generally speaking, within a certain time frame, then the better. So 3 months, that'll give you about, what is that, 60 data points or so, for those days. Or 3 months would be more than that, I guess, if you're excluding weekends. So anyways, like 60 days. If you optimize for more than that, you'll have more data points. But then again, the farther you get away from the current market conditions, the less likely, I think personally, that it's going to match the current market conditions. So the more you can be fitted, to the most recent market conditions, the better chance you have of performing in the current market conditions. That's kind of my own philosophy, and I think what's proven to work with the leaderboard and recency scores and all this stuff, right? I mean, that's really the whole point of the leaderboard, is to optimize for the most recent market conditions. So it's like, I don't really care how a strategy performed 3 years ago, because that market condition is totally different, so to me, the most relevant data is the more recent data, and that's really what we try to optimize for and even sort the strategies based on. That's why the recency score is the default sorting. So optimizing less than 3 months, I think, that's fine. But again, you might lose some data points doing that. But in general, I think that's fine. What about you though, Cy? Sorry, that question is for you. What do you think about optimizing for even less than 3 months? I mean, you have your system, so I figure you just do that.
I mean, the only advantage if you test longer periods is you can be more confident that your strategy is can work on a longer periods of time. It's like the peak performance. I think that's what you guys say. The peak performance of your strategy is longer if you test it on a longer duration. But I think, example, for daily, it's not really necessary. Just test for the most current market condition, and then next week do again. Last 3 weeks, I think you're good with that. You will be fine with that.
Yep. Okay, we're gonna do maybe one more question, maybe two, and then we're gonna wrap it up. How do you recover after multiple consecutive EPs? Cy, you just re-optimize, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, remember, right? So I have a criteria. Re-optimize until it hits my criteria.
Yeah. Yep. Okay, awesome. Okay, I think we're gonna wrap it up there. Cy, you've been very generous with your time, sticking with us for almost 2 hours now. So a full hour past the time. So
time flies. I didn't even
it does. But yeah, no, appreciate you staying after, answering all those questions. And yeah, I'm sure any others, you'll be in contact in the farmers chat as always. Is that the best place to reach you? If there's any other
if you have questions, just post it in the group chat. You will see me in the group chat,
and that way everybody can learn from each other. I would hate for everybody to swarm your DMs, so
yeah. That's why I recommend you guys just post it in the group chat, because my DMs is, I'm already overwhelmed with my DMs. There's a lot of DMs. But yeah, just post it in the group chat. I'm sure not only me. I mean, there are a lot of good traders there in the group. And actually some of them have good answers. So yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, thanks so much, Cy. Really appreciate you again for being with us. Thanks everybody else for being on and participating and asking great questions. Again, I'll post the recording as soon as it's available. And Cy, you said you would post these slides, so looking forward to that.
I'll post it in the group chat after this.
Perfect. Okay, thanks so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your night or day, depending on where you're at in the world.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Cy. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.